All right, it's June and we're putting out some trail cameras for the first time to find some big bucks. We're gonna break down each set and why we're putting them there. A lot of this information isn't new or earth-shattering, but we're gonna break down each setup and we're gonna take you along and break down some of the best trail camera locations to find big bucks. All right, so we're gonna get some batteries in these cameras. We got a couple Lift-2s we're gonna be putting out. Lithiums are the best. They're also really expensive. And so we're gonna use some alkalines here, the Amazons. I'm here at my house, so I'm not overly worried about setting these and driving 5 miles away or 5 hours away. So I was cheap last year, and here's some alkaline batteries with corrosion. And this battery tray may be shot now. Let's see all the corrosion in here. It's not what you want. So that's one of the clear downsides of alkaline batteries. That terminal is all corroded, and we're not even gonna use this one. Very important, electrical tape on your mic holes during the summer. Ants are atrocious and will kill camera very easily. I run all of mine on video. You get a lot of information, you get a really good look at the deer, understand what their behavior is. We're gonna go in there and format this card, and we'll be good to go.
We are gonna go put out some cameras. We got the easy mode today, we got the side-by-side, save some steps. Oh, this is a food plot last year, and it's been so dry, I wanted to do buckwheat again, and I've been watching for good weather, and we haven't really had anything. There's potential rain for Sunday, but it's 1/10 of an inch, and everything is bone dry. Look at that. A lot of debate. There's always a lot of debate on deer poop, whether that's a buck turd or a doe turd. It looks larger to me, but I'd be curious if you guys put stock into buck or deer poop in general when you're out scouting around. You can't really tell right now, but there was pretty good scrapes through here. We had a camera on that dead tree right over there as it leans over. And all summer, we had bucks in here traveling. We have ag on 2 sides here, and this is the creek that runs through here, and it kind of pinches things down, and was by far the most productive camera. I never did hunt back here, and I really didn't hunt this spot much last year in general because there wasn't anything that I wanted to chase, but I'm excited to see what made it through and maybe what shows up. So it's mainly beans around this summer, and last year it was corn. We'll put this camera up, put it on video mode, and I think it will be hopefully as productive as last year. I remember last year we taped this up and there was a lot of ants. And you can see this is dead right here, and I see that it seems like ants are living in here. We need to put some electrical tape. Psych, already prepared, already had it on there. So this would be an example of having, for sure, tape on, especially when there's ants already on the tree. So we may adjust this a little bit. We may pick a whole different tree. Sometimes it's indecisive as hanging the stand as I am hanging the camera because I don't plan on moving it here in the next couple months. Oh yeah. Hedge is a notoriously strong wood here. We'll clean up some of the rest of this. Long-term plan for this back here, it's a lot of hedge, a lot of locust, a lot of invaluable understory here. And so what we're gonna do is actually kill basically all this junk and then plant some new swamp white oaks, shrubs in this area in the next couple of years. I'm very excited for that because I think this is a really sweet little spot here, the way it lays out. It's not a huge farm, so I wanna maximize the habitat and understand it will take time. And right now it's just executing off of the biggest impact projects. Some of the spots on the farm has basically no habitat quality at all right now. So I'm implementing that first, getting habitat there that's more desirable. And then once we have that established, we'll incorporate this into here. And so we'll girdle a lot of this stuff, fell some of it, and plant new trees and shrubs. Video length, default on the Lift-2 is 5 seconds. I think 20 to 30 seconds is kind of the sweet spot. It's very important to make sure you're limiting false triggers. Like some of these little guys might end up growing out. We'll just trim this guy up, make sure we're eliminating any potential false triggers because they're just inevitable in the summer. We're in June obviously right now, so some of the growth's already done, but if you don't, it'll be bad. You see where I'm pointing? I like that a lot. I think this should be a really good camera. Yeah, we're all set up. This is by far was the most productive camera last year, even throughout the rut, as they were cruising through here in this little bedding area. Just a good spot the way everything constricts down. So we'll turn her on and count down, walk away, let her soak. You can see a really good trail right here as well. And they just hit that the way it constricts down. There's a creek over there, fence are over there, it's open. Just one of those geographical locations that it makes sense. I think anyone with any whitetail sense would look at this on the map and be like, yeah, that's probably a pretty good spot. So here in farm country, sometimes that happens. Right here is a spot that we put in a water hole last year, and put some more water in it here recently, and we planted 3 apple trees over there. I want to show you guys that, see how they're doing. They leafed out last time I was out here, and this is not really necessarily a great camera location. I'm just more curious. So there was a fence that ran through here, and I cut out this section here, put a stand over there to encourage this movement, and they started using it right away. And then just kind of wanted to sweeten the spot. I planted 20 fruit trees on the farm this year, and so I put a cluster of 3 here, water hole, very good access, and I think this could be a really good spot, especially as we improve this little area. But right now, I would say it's 3rd or 4th best spot on the farm, but I think it could be number 2. I think it's good to put cameras out just to learn. They don't always have to be about finding the big buck. I'm just curious how often they use this little cutout in the fence. I'm curious how much they use the water. I'm just looking at this as a learning opportunity. More than likely not a camera that's gonna find the buck for 2023. This one is a much better spook-proof setup. Multi-trunk tree tucked in here. Be curious what's on this camera. Be curious how often they're drinking out of the water hole. Might get some false triggers with that cedar branch kicking out, but we'll see what it does. Here's some apple trees. These are looking pretty good. Mulched them, watered them a couple times, have them fenced in. I didn't fence them right away. And this one got nipped before it leafed out. We burnt this 2 years ago. Basically anything that's not getting maintained right now, you have these little locusts popping up. In this area, we don't have any really good new growth of what we want, so we're gonna stimulate that ourselves. Take that into our own hands. This is all cattle pasture at one point, so I bet you this is maybe 10 or 15-year-old stand of just general regrowth. There's actually quite a few walnuts popping up, and then locusts and every other kind of junk remnant cattle pasture species popping up. So par for the course. Here is an example of when you leave your cameras out and you have this new growth here. I mean, this is all brand new growth. Cut this chunk down and it sprouted a bunch of new stuff right in front of the camera. So we will clean this guy up. Some of my other cell cameras that I have that I'm checking, this needs done on a lot of different of them. Let's go to another water hole that there's a camera already on there, and I took the card out, I think in March, I just left it on there. Batteries are dead, so we'll replenish that. That water hole's in a really good spot. That one got hit a lot last year, a lot. That's where I shot my buck in 2 years ago, in this little spot, overlooked part of the farm. And we put a water hole in there last summer. The deer did what they were supposed to. This wasn't a deer that I would want to shoot, so I stayed out of there, but I'm hoping the spot remains really good. I would say this is by far the best spot on the farm from an access perspective, and overall just a really good spot. It's gonna need, put some fresh water in this guy here. That'll probably be another weekend project. Get it filled up. You can kind of see how much the water's been going down here recently. This is actually, right here, you can see it with some imagination, is an old road. So there was probably a culvert or a bridge right there, and it went during the winter when this is a lot more open. You're gonna see all the does bed on it like it's a line of pigeons on the telephone line. They just bed right on this old road. This is a nice little spot here. Look at the freaking browse pressure through here. They're just browsing like crazy in here. It'll be fun to put a camera up and see what's browsing in here. If I'm gonna guess, it's probably a doe family. Put a new guy in, put a fresh card in. Sometimes I like to put a little side cover next to the cameras. I think it helps just a little bit. Maybe it's just me. Video length, I had this guy at 15 seconds. I think we'll leave it at that. Sugar delay, 10 seconds, I think that's fine. Make sure we're all framed up all right. And with all that browsing in here, I'm pretty excited to check this camera eventually. The old road plays a really big factor into funneling deer here. I think if there was actually a crossing there, it would be even better, but I shot my buck out of a tree over there, and this is a really good east wind spot. I think I could do a couple tweaks and cheat a north wind in here too. I'm excited for this camera set. We'll get some fresh water in here. What I've been doing from the water is I've been going to a local police department. They have a big water thing, $2 fill up a 250-gallon tank. I put it in the back of my truck, put it in there, and it just fills it up super fast, like 2 minutes. Before I'd use my hose, and it would take forever. So it's literally faster to drive there, fill it up, and drive back, and it's only like $2, $2.50. We'll use gravity here and not use a pump or anything, just let it feed out, and it'll be filled up. So, recap, put one over a great perennial scrape. We put one over a water hole. We put a bonus camera over another water hole just because I was curious. You're probably thinking, why haven't you put a camera on soybeans? Why haven't you put one on alfalfa? We're headed to go put it over an alfalfa field. that this area has always had some excellent velvet buck pictures. So we're putting a cell camera up there, and we got a solar panel all charged up. And I'm excited to see what's over there. Last year there was some really good deer. It is a very hard farm to hunt. It's small. Access is really tough. It's kind of a burner spot, if that makes sense. It's kind of in my back pocket. If I just feel lucky and I want to roll the dice and go throw a hunt at it, I will. It's just a small little piece that deer can move through, but we're gonna find out what's running around, hopefully this summer. It's June, it's a little bit early to be doing this. So if you're watching this now, I would say the beginning of July is really good. Later in July is always exciting time to have cameras out. And then around the August 15th to the 22nd, this area has always had a really big deer show up that's in velvet. And usually they show up late October. So you put those two correlations together and there's your opportunity on a small parcel, because it's not like you can go hunt down this deer and he's bedded here, I'm gonna get him when he gets out of his bed, or he's feeding here every night. This is not this type of parcel. It's a bit of a crapshoot. You can guess when he might be in the neighborhood or the area and then give it your best bet. It hasn't worked that great for me, but that's my thought on it. All right, we're at another location here. Got an alfalfa field and kind of this little pinch that comes out of this little thicket. And we have a render and a solar panel. And Richard asked, does this absorb ambient sunlight? Yes, it does. Is this the best method to mount it? No, but this is what we have here. So it'll absorb ambient light. We have a set of batteries in here that are fresh. Before we left, I made sure this camera was connected and sending pictures and was activated. So that's something to remember as you're putting cameras out. Make sure they are activated and ready to go, and you troubleshoot before you go out to the spot, because that would be frustrating. We're all set. We're gonna turn this thing on, and hopefully, this would be a camera where we hopefully find a buck to hunt. The goal of this one is to find a buck that is big and have an opportunity to hopefully kill it this fall. So we are at another location. We're hopefully gonna find some more bucks to hunt this fall. And here is an old signpost rub. It's been hit on both sides. Historically in the summer, we're gonna go put up a really good spot where it transitions in between two ag fields. There's a big deer, he's gonna walk by it this summer, and that's, when you're hanging cameras on field edges during the summer, it's more just knowing they're alive and there's a big deer there, and then backtracking from there. But really excited to put out these two lift twos on video mode, and historically it's been pretty solid, and here's a big signpost rub to prove it. So we decided to put a camera here, kind of a camera based off of the topography and how things pinch down. This spot has changed since last year, so they cleaned up, gave the farm a haircut basically. And I don't know how much it's gonna change and impact their direction. I think where this camera's at, this may actually become more effective than some of the other spots it was before. Something like the early growth that was just getting overgrown, got mowed down. That was always an excellent spot, but we're just gonna adjust and see how this one does here. Should be pretty solid. Got it elevated here, got it pointed down. We're gonna need a trusty stick again, probably. Video length, 25 seconds. I think we'll leave it on this one. I think a lot of the clips will be shorter than that, but I can also see a deer coming out and surveying the area a little bit, get a good look at them. One thing to consider a lot of times too, you get some wind going and we're gonna get false triggers. We're still gonna get some false triggers. I don't wanna break this tree any much more. Maybe, yeah. But a lot of times too, the picture and the detection zone are not identical. So sometimes people think they're getting false triggers, but you have something like this that is just out of the frame, still triggering the camera. All right, we'll send it. Do I think this camera's gonna get a big buck on it this summer? Yes. We were walking along here. Richard and I were talking about a nice little staging spot where they're coming up out of their bedding. And I know people get sick of the balloons, but here's a balloon. Do you think it matters? If you find a balloon, where do you usually find them? Or is it completely random? So a little fun fact here, I got access on this farm I think 3 years ago, and this is the first spot I put a camera, and I actually had some really good deer on it. And like I said, I want to hunt this for a long time. We're gonna put a camera up where I did 3 years ago, and the surrounding area, some of the habitat has changed. It may be a little less effective than what it was, because this used to be beans right here, but now it is warm season grasses. This trail is, as probably an overused term, a cow path. It's a cow path without the cows. So we're gonna monkey up in here and hang camera. This will be fun. Oh yeah, dang. No need to use a stick. Probably end up switching a cell camera right here. Someone watching this probably like, you just put cameras where you have every other year so far. You're right, these are the first cameras of the year. We'll put some floaters out here, more so in July, but right now we're just getting things set up. Probably put this cell camera here when hang a set next month in here. Something that people maybe don't remember, when you raise the camera high and point it down, you're losing a lot of the detection zone. With how this is set up, it almost dips down and goes back up. We're really not gonna lose much detection zone. I think it should be really efficient on this trail coming on this transition. All we gotta do is trim out probably this branch and probably just one more, and this should be a really good camera set. This would pass the spook-proof equation. Talking about that set, this is a bedding area here. There's a lot of random bedding opportunities on this farm, but this is definitely a defined one. We just hang that camera right there, and there is a dirt-worn-in bed right here. We're gonna find out who's using it. Nice and cool in here during the summer. Multiple escape routes on like a northwest wind. Honestly, it just roll right over this hill, right over its back. You can sit right here. It's more a little open hardwood transition. Sit right there and watch everything. So I think it's important to, whenever you find a sign like this, ask why and try to process when they might be using it. I'm obviously just assuming, but pretty excited about this camera spot. I'm gonna call my shot, and if it doesn't happen, we'll just delete this clip. Between October 22nd and the 25th, I'm gonna kill a big buck that's been using that out of that cherry tree. Speak it into existence. Probably wrong, but I'm gonna do it.